It is one of life's greatest pleasures, yet according to a recent survey, 59% of women would give up sex for shopping.
Which had us thinking the sex must be pretty darn bad.
So to help men and women get back in the mood, we called in the sexperts. Ian Kerner is a licensed couples therapist and sex counselor.
And Lacey Green is a sex educator and author of Sex Plus, Learning, Loving, and Enjoying Your Body. Welcome to you both.
Hey.
All right.
Ian, see, I was just saying, it seems like we've been talking, we've had Ian on for the last 11 years. And we're still asking the same questions.
But here's a question.
They're perpetual and perennial, yeah.
Were you all surprised when you saw 59% of women would rather shop than have sex?
Well, you know,
surprising?
Really doing this for so long, I have to say, this is the most common issue I see. Low desire, mismatched libidos, women, men even wanting to want sex, but just not wanting it and then wondering sort of what's wrong with me. So no, I mean, I wasn't surprised.
Not really. I've definitely had days where I'd rather go shopping or go on vacation as well. I think that's normal.
Yeah, so how do you, like a lot of people are coming home and thinking, wow, we haven't had sex in a long time. Is there something wrong? Like, how do you rekindle the romance in your family, Ian?
Well, you know, I think for a lot of men, they experience desire just spontaneously. You know, a lot of guys, they see something sexy, it kind of gets the whole arousal platform. And a lot of men sort of get angry at their partners for not experiencing desire in the same way.
Right.
And so I think with men, it's a little like turning on a light switch. And with women, it's a little like maybe gradually adjusting a dimmer. And I think men need to not be angry at their partners for not being light switches, but kind of work on those dimmers.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to think outside the bedroom for women particularly. Desire really starts there. You know, having fun with your partner, having moments of playfulness, new experiences, and even having some space from each other sometimes, like healthy space, not like, I don't want to see you for a while. Yeah. But you know, when you go on a trip or something, you build that anticipation, then you're really excited to see them when you come back.
But you can also be let down with disappointment when it isn't what you were hoping it was going to be.
It happens. Yeah, it happens.
What if people do have just different sex drives? Because some women are finding themselves at a point in their life where it's not their #1 or #2 priority, and guys
or 10.
Or 10,
What do you do? You know, I don't think you always need to show up with desire. I think that's the mistake when you feel like, I have to have desire, you have to have desire, it has to happen at the same time. I think sometimes you really just need to show up with willingness. You know, before you have desire, the willingness to connect, the willingness to engage, the willingness
to please the other person.
Sure. The willingness to compromise.
And I think there are ways to do that sometimes without even sex itself, right? Ways to be sexual with each other and to build intimacy that aren't necessarily what we think of as sex.
Well, some people blame their partner. They're like, you know what, he isn't romantic enough, or she doesn't, you know, push my buttons the right way anymore.
I think that's such a problem that we often express our desires in the form of a negative complaint. He's not romantic. He doesn't love foreplay. Whenever I'm working with a couple, I try and say, okay, so what is the situation or the sex that you can imagine that you would like, that you would enjoy? And I get them to sort of come up with to describe it and come up with a kind of a fantasy, and then to share that, because that becomes sexy, arousing, and inviting.
And get in touch with what you desire. I feel like growing up as a young woman, you're not really taught to think about what you want, right? You're taught to think about what your partner wants, what the guy wants, and everything sort of revolves around him in the bedroom. When he's done, you're done, right? So really getting in touch with what you want and need and vocalizing it, but also like partners got to come through. You know, sometimes they're not delivering on the promise.
So we'll meet with you next year and we'll talk about the same thing, get the same answers. It's so good to see you.
Thanks, guys.
If you have questions for our sexperts, they'll be answering them on Instagram Live.
People do have questions. All right.
I know, they're just the same one.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.